Hey guys, how's it going? So, today's a beautiful day, even though it wasn't that sunny today, but it's still beautiful, okay? Anyway, I feel like I rested, guys. I rested. I was so tired. Last time I was like, let me vlog, and I've been vlogging, okay? Whenever I'm going out, I'm having meetings and things like that. So, you guys are going to see it probably the next week or something like that. But anyway, I wanted to talk about Douala Airport and Turkish Airline and what happened to the people who were traveling from Douala all the way to Europe, America, all of these things. I mean, it was ridiculous. So anyway, let's get started. Where should I even start with this story? Okay, let's start with when I got to the airport. Okay, you guys already know. For people who go to Douala, you know what the airport looks like. Many people, no AC, no running AC. Like every time I think about it, like every time I go to every time I go to Douala Airport, I'm like, what's the purpose of the fan in the ceiling? Seriously, if you guys are not gonna make it, run. But anyway, that's beside the point. So Turkish Airline was leaving at 3 a.m. right in the morning. Get there like 1-ish a.m., something like that. My brother dropped me off. So I get there, the line is really long. The queue is so long. People are against the wall back there, by the exit door. That's how long the line was. So I think when I came, I was the last person. I mean, not that I was the last person. I was back there, okay, by the wall. And there was another gentleman behind me. He's from Gabon and he was working in Cameroon, whatever. And there was another lady behind me, right? So all of us are like wondering what's going on. We're just talking to each other, whatever. 1 hour was enough time for me to go from the back, all the way to like midway. Like you haven't even entered the place where you're supposed to check in. Not even then. At this point, it's 2 a.m. Everybody is like, what is going on? Like, what is the queue so long? And why is it that the people there at the check-in are not, they're not rushing the process? The plane is being delayed at this point. The plane is just sitting there waiting on us to be checked in, right? So the guy who was behind me just went up, right? Because he was like, what's going on? So when he came back, I asked him, I was like, so what did they say? And then the guy was like, apparently they're doing everything manually. Guys, it comes a point where Cameroon doesn't really surprise me anymore. As soon as he said they're doing everything manually, I'm like, what do you mean? They're doing the check-in manually. So they're entering the information manually. I thought, okay, maybe manually in terms of 2 hours later, I get to the people who check your passport, whatever. I get there. And they have a list, like bunch of paper, bunch of papers. And they're just like, what's your last name? They get my last name, they get my passport, and they're just flipping the pages. Guys, literally, they're flipping the pages. They have no computer. They're scanning our passport with their phones, right? I don't even think they're scanning. I just want they're taking pictures. It's really so ridiculous. So he's flipping, a bunch of pages to get to my name. And at some point, he's like, I can't find your name. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Here's my flight ticket. Here's everything. I'm supposed to be on this flight, right? And then the manager comes over. He tells the manager, I cannot find her name. The manager spent another 10 plus minutes flipping through the pages and trying to figure out which list has my name on it. Like when we say manually, that was manually, literally. So she flips the pages and then eventually she finds my name. So keep in mind that I don't know how many people were on that flight, but on average, it will probably take 10 to 15 minutes to check in one person. So no wonder we actually delayed by 2 hours. My layover in in Istanbul was 45. Was it 45? No, it was almost 1 hour and 45 minutes, right? It wasn't that long of a layover. So I just want to know I'm going to miss my layover. We're just going to deal with what we did, ridiculous. Anyway, flip the pages, find my name. They're like, ma'am, just go to the check-in, the desk area where you're supposed to check in your luggages. I go to the guy. Same thing happened. There's no working computers. So he has to do everything manually. Now they have to give you a boarding pass. Guys, I do have a copy. I will show it to you. Now they have to give you a boarding pass. They cannot print the boarding pass because the machinery don't work. So they have to give you an orange looking where they handwrite your seat and this and that. Keep in mind that when you do have layover, right? the airport where you originally taken off have to give you two different boarding pass. The boarding pass from Douala to Istanbul and another one from Istanbul to, Texas, to Houston, because that was my destination. They don't give us that. They only give us the one where they handwrite your seat, your seat number, some things. I don't even know what they wrote there. But anyway, give it to me, and then they check in my luggages, right? So I go on the plane. I'm thinking to myself, okay, the problem has been solved. I'm just gonna have to figure out the next flight, because at this point I'm just thinking, I already missed my flight, right? So I'm like, no big deal. I'm gonna get to Istanbul and then we're gonna figure out the next flight. As soon as we get off from the plane, right, there was an agent who was calling out everybody who was going to Houston. I was talking to one of the passengers, right, and I didn't even hear what this agent was saying. He's the one who said, "Oh, I think you're going to Houston, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "They're calling you guys over there." So I went there, and this man just took off. Like, we walked real fast, because the plane was delayed, because the plane was waiting on us. Guys, so I'm in Istanbul and we're rushing because I'm about to miss my flight. So we're just walking. At this point, we're even running. Keep in mind that I have kitten heels. I have heels. Like, sometimes, most of the time I travel with flats, but this time I was like, no, it's gonna be chilled. I had like kitten heels and I'm walking real fast. I have my carry-on, I have my purse, I'm walking real fast. We get to the gate, right? The lady is like, "Ma'am, hurry up, can I see your boarding pass?" We don't have a boarding pass. She goes, "Oh, you're not going to be able to get into the plane if you don't have a boarding pass. Didn't Douala Airport give you guys a boarding pass?" We said no. They gave us this little piece of thing in order to take off from Douala and get to Istanbul. We didn't get like a boarding pass from Istanbul to Houston. At this point, the Turkish people, they're pissed. They're just pissed. They're like, what the? Sometimes we want to be respected as Africans, right? But sometimes I also believe that in order to be respected, do better. Fast forward. The lady is pissed. She calls on somebody else, like, how are we supposed to get these people on the plane, blah, 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 blah. And we eventually get on the plane. We don't even know our seat number, right? I think they just randomly assigned us seats. And then they were like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Because at this point, the plane has been waiting on us, right? Because the delay and everything. Get on the plane. Come to find out, the people who had layover in Istanbul, they were going to like different places in Europe. They could not board the plane. Even though they had 2-3 hours layover, they could not board the plane. I think I was just lucky. I was among the lucky ones who, when I got to the airport, when I got to the gate, right, they asked for the boarding pass and they say, you guys cannot get in if you don't have a boarding pass. And whoever, this lady who was in front of us, she was frowning, she was angry. And at some point she just said, you know what, go, 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 go. I think she just let us go. Keep in mind that the other people whose layover was in Istanbul, but they were going to other places except Houston, Texas, they made them buy another flight ticket. And I know that because I kept in contact with some of them, right? They bought another flight ticket in order to get to the final destination, because Turkish Airline was like, we're not responsible for the way Cameroon handled these things, right? Like, they did not want to pay these people, but it was ridiculous, guys. I was like, maybe the privilege that I had was that I was going to America and the other people, I don't know, right? I don't know, I'm just speculating. But everybody else on that flight whose layover was, Istanbul, going to Europe, everybody had to pay out of pocket in order to go on the next flight, right? And the guy that I was talking to said he's going to sue Turkish Airline because he bought the ticket, Turkish Airline. Anyway, it was just a whole story, guys. I'm just thankful that I didn't go through. Like, can you imagine if I had to buy a brand new flight ticket? First of all, my flight ticket was really expensive because I bought it like couple days or couple weeks before I flew. So it was already expensive. I would have been pissed. Anyway, I get to Houston. I'm thinking to myself, whew, I went through everything. Guys, the immigration, I don't know if you guys saw the line. It was so long. So long. Like, I was like, what? Like, it was on a Saturday, right? I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's going to be good. No, it was so long. People coming from all over the place. It was ridiculously long. So the immigration officer who handled, who received me, right? He was an African-American, older, maybe in his 60s or something. Like, you can tell he's about to retire or something. He had bunch of questions asking me, what I want to do in Cameroon, what I'm doing in the US, where do you live, where do you this, where, like it was just nonstop. And I heard, like a little birds, social media told me that since we, have a new president, like things like the immigration at the airport has been, interesting, and the questioning have been really thorough. So I was expecting that, right? So in just at this point, I really don't have anything to hide. He asked me, what were you doing there? Do you work here? Do you do this? For me, it's always hard to explain what I do, because not that it's hard to explain, but the problem is that I do many things, right? So by the time I start listing the first, the second, the third, like it looks like it's all over the place. And I really think just men thought I was lying. But I was like, you know what, dude, if you want to check the system, right? Because this is what I this is what I do. I can't lie. I'm doing just that. So anyway, long story short, he let me go through. And then there was this other American man who was like, weren't you annoyed with the level of questioning that these people were asking? Like it took forever. So in summary, I feel like my flight from Cameroon to Texas, I mean, guys, I feel like I stayed on the road for like 2 days. No joke. It felt so long. Anyway, get to the baggage claim area. I'm thinking to myself, let's just wait for my luggages. In the meantime, my friend who was in charge of keeping my car safe and everything, he was already at the airport waiting on me, like reaching out to me, girl, I'm making a U-turn, should I stop by, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, give me like 10, 15 minutes. The luggages are already here. Look through everything. I can't find my luggages. I talked to one of the agents who was noting people, because you have to file a claim with them if you are missing your luggages. And she said, I can't find your luggages. I just went, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Just make my life easier, right? I'm exhausted. I just want to go home. I'm tired. And then she goes, let me check in the list of luggages that remained in Istanbul. And she called on some people, check the list, my name is not there. And she said, are you sure they put your luggages on the plane? I'm like, yes, I think they did, because I saw it, guys. I have the footage, right? Because I'm a vlogger. So I was like, man, I have the footage. I saw how they put the tag and then it went straight to the thing, right? Like I saw my luggages going, like the heck. And then she goes, you know what? Go home and then we'll let you know tomorrow or the next couple of days if we find it. I know people deal a lot when they work at the airport because we have people coming from left and right. But that lady wasn't nice, okay? She wasn't nice. And she was acting as if I was just, I was lying or something, because she was like, no, your name is not here. Like it's not in Istanbul and it's not here in America, like blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, okay, cool. Let me just go home. That's when you guys saw the last video that I posted of me giving you guys the update, what happened the next couple of days when I came. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. I'll put the link down below. So I kind of explained everything to you, and I told you at the end, I found my luggages. Now let me explain the compensation process. So I received my luggages, I want to say like 5 days. Like 5 days after I flew in, after I landed. I think it was 5 days. Anyway, I received it. I was happy, whatever. I looked through my luggages and I'm like, somebody must have gone through them or whatever. So I just went, I'm like, okay, let me figure out if something is missing or blah, blah, blah. Let me just reach out to them and tell them that I received my luggages. So then I realized that some of the items were missing. I don't know, because sometimes they look through your luggages, and because mine didn't have locks, guys, I know what you're gonna say, girl. Buy one that have like, the automatic thing where you just you key in a code, whatever. I know. And the funny thing is that I actually had locks, but it was in my purse. It was in my purse. Anyway, and when I got to the airport, because I'm always like, sometimes they want to check if you have food inside, whatever. So I'm always never put locks until I'm about to check in the luggages. So long story short, I forgot, right? So my luggages traveled. They were like, you just unzip, it's already open. Okay. So reach out to them. I listed some of the items that were missing, and I pretty much told them, this is what's missing, and I received my luggages on this date, whatever. They told me my luggages should have been delivered. I mean, were delivered. They didn't even use should have been. They just said it was delivered 3 days after. I said, no, it was delivered 5 days after. It was an entire fight there, okay? Because they didn't want to compensate me for 5 days, but for 3 days. And on the coupon, on the tag, it was showing that it was delivered 3 days after, but I received it 5 days after. So go figure the airport, okay? Maybe the airport did not deliver it on time or whatever. So at this point, I'm like, okay, let me see how much I can get compensated for. You guys remember I went to Target, I did some shopping. After Target, I think the next day I went to Ross because I realized that I was supposed to buy, I think I was supposed to, no, just when I bought it, I was supposed to buy flip flops because I had the heels, right? That was the only shoe that I had, my kitten heel. I bought this one at the Target, and then I bought flip flops because when I get off the shower, I cannot wear just because it's gonna be wet. So anyway, I bought it, and then I bought what else? Like a towel. Even though I had a towel, but I bought an additional one and stuff like that. I don't even remember what I bought, but I went to Ross. I purchased some items, but I went to Ross on the fourth day because I still did not receive my luggages, right? Just to find out they didn't take into account those receipts. So everything I spent on the fourth day, they did not take that into account. They paid for what I spent on the second day after I landed when I went to Target, right? They paid for it. Some of the items that I claimed were missing. I was able to retrieve the receipt for some of them because some of them I bought them on Amazon. So I was able to go through Amazon and kind of, you go and check your orders in the last years and then you can screenshot the invoice. So that's what I did. They did not take that into account. They took into account one which was pricey, but they did not give me the full refund because they were talking about the applied depreciation. Yeah. So apparently some of my things had depreciated. So yeah. So they did not give me the full value of it, which is really annoying because right now when I'm thinking about one of the items that were missing and then how much it costs now, it actually costs more. Okay. So I fought with them since I got back, I've been fighting with Turkish Airline because at this point I'm like, like you guys don't even act like you want to compensate people, blah, 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 blah. At the time that I'm talking to you, they I haven't seen the money, right? They approved 1,200. And I could have fought that because at this point I'm just exhausted with Turkish Airline. Like I'm just tired. Like I want a break from them. So anyway, I finally signed on that. I signed off on it, and then I was like, you know what, just give me the 1,200. Have I received the money yet? No, that was last week. When I look up my case online, it only said payment processing. That's what it said, payment processing. But haven't received anything like in my bank account. So I'm still waiting. I'll let you know whether I do or don't. But that was really what happened, guys. The only and last time that I used Turkish Airline, I was going to Paris. I think it was 2012, and I was going to spend Christmas with my siblings, right? That was the last time. And my brother-in-law is actually the one who got my tickets, and he's the one who picked Turkish Airline. And I was like, who is them? So, and I was so annoyed with them back then. And then maybe that's why I never even tried. But because Air France, for some reason, Air France, because you guys know I always fly with Air France, so ridiculously expensive. Like we're talking about one way. I was about to pay like 2,000 and some change for a flight ticket one way because I didn't buy round trip because I don't know when I'm going to be leaving the US. But 2K for one, like that was ridiculous. So anyway, but the Turkish airline flight ticket was costing like 1.5, which is still a lot of money for one way. Okay, like from Cameroon to Texas to America, like 1.5. I just feel like it's back in the days, like not back in the days, maybe like 2 years ago. As of 2 years ago, I think I was buying round trip ticket for like 1,200, and now like come on, like I don't know what's going on with those airlines, but it's getting ridiculously expensive. Okay, so anyway, that's what happened. If I have any additional update, I will let you guys know. I think every time I get disappointed about Cameroon, and every time I go to the airport, I'm like, okay, somebody said Douala Airport, like it's another level of cardio. But seriously, it's crazy. It's crazy what you think. Oh, we're getting better in some. Now we have more roads. We're building Cameroon. No, it's so ridiculous. Anyway, so one of my next videos, I want to talk about this. Somebody asked me. She wants me to, kind of like talk about the traveling back and forth from Africa long term, any tips on balancing living in the US and Cameroon, travel planning, Airbnb, apartment leasing, managing storage, and blah, blah, blah. Girl, I'm gonna make a full video about that because you're actually not the only one who asked that question. Somebody, Doris, she said I should think about buying my own house and doing Airbnb. Girl, that was always the plan. Okay, that was always the plan. I just never made it happen because I was never here to kind of handle everything that comes with having an Airbnb. And I was looking for somebody who was going to manage it. But eventually, let's talk about it. Okay, on the one of those next video, we eventually talk about it. But yeah, somebody said something about the heat of Texas is ridiculous, and how am I going to survive the summer, dude? If you're in Douala and you can survive the summertime in Douala, Texas is nothing, okay? Texas is nothing. Like seriously. And I've lived here, okay? This is not, I've been around the block, okay? So I know what it's like to live in one of the hottest states in America, just like I know what it's like to live in one of the coldest one. I would take the heat every day over the cold of like the Midwest, like Chicago, Colorado, all of this. Like, I don't know. That's not my thing. But anyway, I'm from Cameroon. If you're from Cameroon, you're from Douala, then heat is nothing, okay? If you have AC, you're good. The car has AC, the house has AC, you have a fan, you're good, okay? But anyway, we're gonna talk about all of it on my next upcoming videos. So thank you guys for watching. If I miss out on something, I'll let you know, okay? But I haven't received the check, okay? I need the check. And then, yeah, the only thing is that I also want to talk about the check because I actually manifested that check, but I didn't manifest the headache that came with it, but I manifested the check. Okay. I love you guys. I will see you in the next vlog. Don't forget to like and subscribe as usual. And then I'm hungry. I feel like every time I end the vlog or a video, I'm always hungry, but for real, I'm hungry. I love you guys.